come to you again from the best Bigfoot barn show on YouTube. I'll just put my feet up here on my pop case coffee table. Okay, so today's special show, 60 years ago, this February 1st, the Dyatlov Pass incident happened. 9 hikers died under suspicious circumstances, mysterious circumstances. I picked up Donnie Eichel's book, Dead Mountain here. This is my new feature to the Bigfoot Barn Show. I added some books. Some people said the books would warm up the place. I don't feel any warmer having the books here. Anyway, a good book. I'll put that there on the fireplace. Basically, what happened, and I'm going to go do a reenactment in the field, was that these hikers went on this big journey to this mountain, Dead Mountain, in the Urals of Russia, and on the night of February 1st, and between 1st and 2nd of 59, they all left the tent into the freezing -26 cold and the wind chill of the Ural Mountains. So, what's strange is why would they leave the tent undressed, like in the shirts and socks and no boots, in such a hurry? And then they all perished in the woods, 6 from hypothermia and 3 from really strange injuries. And injuries that one of the forensic doctors compared to as a terrible car crash kind of force. So let's get to that, and let's go to the Ural Mountains right now. Okay, so on February 1st, 1959, Igor Dyatlov led an expedition of 10 university students, 9 university students and 1 volunteer, an older guy, 38 and 39 years old. I'll give you his name later. One guy dropped out, I think his name is Yuri Yurden. I'll get the names all correct later. They're heading into the Urals to get their level 3 ski hiking credentials so that they could have host their own expeditions. They're all part of a group in university. Just a little mock for a reenactment here. Tent set up. What happened was the group went into the Urals of Russia. I'll give you the location. They started off taking pictures of themselves, the townspeople, the mountains of the Urals. And then as the trip progressed, they started taking more and more pictures of the woods. And the less and less playful pictures. And yeah, there is a kind of a playful hoax picture of a stocky guy or whatever standing on the trail, but you can see old ski tracks. So, but people use that to do like mockumentaries of the Yeti killer and all that stuff. But here's the thing, I mean, because I seen that picture, I didn't put it together with the Yeti. But then Donnie Eichel wrote a book, Dead Mountain, and he said infrasound from the wind generated, which, alright, he didn't provide any evidence of that, just a hypothesis from a scientist, I guess, he talked to over at NOAA. He said that it's possible, I guess, but the infrasound thing kind of rang home for me because of my experiences with Canadian Sasquatch, and particularly winter experiences. Their last night alive, February 1st, sometime that night between the 1st and the 2nd, they all panicked, left the tent, ran into the trees, and I guess 6 of the 9 died of hypothermia in various locations. 3 of them had brutal injuries. And I'll get more into that. But here's what I think happened. And they were hiking along, started camping in Yeti territory, and then they started getting spooked by Yeti. Menk, M-E-N-K, local name for them, which the area has a bad reputation. Supposedly 9 Mansi hunters all got killed or disappeared or something in there, were killed in the area. Or years before, generations before. Wasn't recorded because it's just local tribe lore, right? But here's the thing, I think that they were hiking along, encountered Yeti in the woods, and I'm going to show you the woods here. They started getting really spooked, started taking more and more pictures. They're kind of trying to be jovial about it, and oh, now we know the snowman exists, and started documenting it a little bit. And just like they started documenting other stuff that was happening in real time, like a romance between a couple of the expedition members, a female, there's 2 females, and 7 guys that were all on this trip. But here they are treating it in the same light as a real life romance between a couple of the members. And I think they were getting spooked by the Yeti, and they started taking more and more pictures of the woods, right up to the last night that they were alive. And then something very drastically happened, and something terrifying scared them out of their tent. Very experienced hiker, mountaineer type people, in early 20s, except for the one. They left, they cut their way out of their tent. First there's cuts from looking out, and then they ran into the woods. And that's where they all died. They ran down the hill and they all died that night. And I've been out, it was minus 25, 26 last week in Ontario. And I'd go outside, I just wanted to, normally I throw a jacket on, but I'd just go outside in a shirt to, put the bird feed out, or to go get the newspaper or something like that from the driveway. Guys just throw it. And it's so cold, it hurts, like right away. And they were in the Ural Mountains with the wind chill factor. It would have been like minus 50 for those people. And then they were tough conditioned. And something I wanted to talk about. I used to work ski hills, so I'm used to cold weather and the winds. Ontario and out in BC and that, I used to go out in the mountains. And you get the best suntan / sunburn ever in the winter. Sun reflects off the snow, because there was something was noted about the color of their skin. And I think that's from sunburn, and then maybe frostbite, and then when their cells were decaying, they got a funny orange-yellow appearance to their skin. But I'm going to get into more of the facts of this case. So what happened was, they were in their tent. Someone, let me just adjust this for a second. One of the guys started taking pictures out at nighttime of a light. And here's the thing, 2 other groups, or at least 2 other parties, I think there was another hiking group, it's not this exact same area, but nearby, and a miner and a woodsman guy who was taking care of a forest area and make sure there's no poachers. They seen this UFO, and it hovered. And then when the UFO noticed the person, or the 2 people, it went right towards them. And these are big, burly, tough guys, miner or forest worker kind of guy. And they hid in fear of this UFO that came right over them. And then after a few moments, the thing took off, unballistic flight pattern, that means not straight. And then there's a big crack noise, which could have been the sound barrier being broken. So that could have happened too, where that thing that light UFO came over them. Because there's a strange picture of one at night. One of it's just the camera, but over on this side there's orbs or lights, and there's orbs been associated with Sasquatch sightings at night. And it might have came right over, and that could have scared them in where they were looking at it, or they were being hit with infrasound from the Yeti. And I've had encounters in the winter with Sasquatch in Ontario where they didn't leave any prints.
Okay, so a lot of my pictures just came off the internet, but there's a Dyatlov Pass incident forum. Go there, check out all the theories, from avalanche to the army attacking to the Mansi tribe attacking to rockets exploding overhead to UFOs or wind generated infrasound. But my favorite is the Yeti, because I've had the exact same incident happen with me where they're outside my tent and they hit me with screams and infrasound and even mind speak, and then there was no prints in the sand or snow. So anyway, what happened was they set their tent up on the eastern slope of the mountain there. Then something scared them out of their tent, and they cut holes and openings in the tent and made their way to the tree line about a click and a half away, where they all died. 6 from hypothermia exposure. 3 of them tried to make their way back to the tent, including Igor. Other 3 had really weird injuries. One had this contusion on the head. Another one had broken ribs and I think a twisted neck. And Xena was missing her eyes and tongue. Pretty creepy. Now, I spotted something in the old pictures right there. I'm like, wow, that's really dark for just a stump. And you know what? It has a bit of a gorilla shape to it there. So then I started looking closer at these other old pictures. And yeah, lots of pictures of the forest and the tent. And then I noticed something in this picture when I brightened it up a little bit. Check this out, right here, right behind the tent, but 20 feet away inside their campsite. There's a Yeti peeking around a tree, right there. And it's got the gorilla face. Now, that's a little bit fried for you, but on my end of things, it's a lot clearer. And I played with the lighting. So here's a 6-foot Yeti, I guess it's a juvie, right inside their tent, creeping out the hikers. And it's no wonder that they decided to set up their tent on the last night on the mountainside, but I guess that wasn't enough to protect them. And this guy's right there, and they were following him. You could see them in other pictures. Just go check them out. And here's the pictures of the orbs that they were taking. This one kind of looks like a plane, but you can see the top of the mountain there, and then that one there was moving just like the other one, and they were taking these pictures. Here's the tree that some of them died under, and it's broken branches, so I guess they're trying to get a fire going. And here's the tree now. You can go visit it and see where they broke off branches. And yeah, pretty scary incident. And here's one of the last known pictures of the group as they skied off into the storm and to their doom.
I see the Sasquatch Yeti in the pictures, the old pictures. There was a reason they were taking pictures of all the woods. You know, started off pictures of each other, pictures of the scenery, and then they all started taking pictures of the woods like they were scared. And I could see why, if the Yeti or the Menk were MENK were right in their campsite, spooking them, then I could see why they set up their campsite on the mountainside that last night. But that's not going to stop them from territorial Yeti. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hit like, subscribe, share, whatever you want to do. I got links here somewhere to my kung fu here. As you notice, I got my Christmas hat on for my daughter. Thanks. And this book's a good read. McCluskey's got a book, Mountain of the Dead. A lot of similar information. They're all pulling from the archives. Eichel's theory is wind-generated infrasound. And McCluskey has a different theory of events. So pick up those books if you want to find out more. There's also websites on the Dyatlov Pass. So pretty scary, and I'm pretty sure the Yeti had something to do with the strange deaths of those people. Remember, this is 9 years, or what is it, 8 years before the Patterson footage. I almost had to use my toes to count there. They're frozen, so I can't use those. They're all stuck together. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on the Bigfoot Barn Show. Okay, so what happened was a bunch of researchers went out looking for them, or kids, not researchers, a bunch of school fellow friends and so authorities, military got involved, went out looking for them. They came across the tent, kind of like that, except it had cuts in it. Mine's got cuts in it. And there was a bunch of prints leading into the woods. 9 sets. Not running, just walking away. But if you've ever tried to run with frozen feet, you can't run very fast, so your stride's short anyway. So they all bundled, walked down the hill to get away from this mountainside. And either the strange light or the sounds that they were hearing. And they probably were already being spooked by Yeti sounds, stick branches breaking, whatever, in the woods. A feeling of being watched, the impending doom, an infrasound. And they started taking pictures of the woods. And that night, instead of camping in the woods, they decided to camp on the mountainside. Not much of a mountain, but it's just a nice hill with a quiet environment to do this reenactment.
Okay, so just a quick recap for those who didn't see my other video where I showed pictures of Yeti inside their campsite. The group on their last night of February 1st, 1959, decided to set up camp, their tent, without the wood stove on the side of the mountain in the high winds. And Eichel's theory is wind-generated infrasound. McCloskey, I think, his theory is military involvement, but I really think the Yeti had something to do with this because I could see them in the pictures, and the group all started taking pictures of the woods after the scenery pictures and personal portraits were done. There's something was scaring these hikers. And the other fact is that they really only saved 5 minutes setting up their tent on the side of the mountain from the tree line, which is a click and a half away. They didn't use the wood stove that they built for this trip, and then something scared them out of the tent, and I'm going to get more into that. Right, so here's the tent location, I believe on the eastern slope of the mountain. There's the rescuers and the inset on the right, bottom right there. The little red arrows are where all the bodies of the 9 were found. That night they were taking pictures of UFOs, which were, I don't know, buzzing around the sky. Other parties seen the UFOs. They were fearful of UFOs. Some of them hid from them. There's pictures of these UFOs as I posted in my last video. Anyway, that or the Yeti using infrasound or screams that snuck up on their tent. Most of them cut their way out of the tent. They couldn't wait for the buttons to be undone so they could get out. They all fled into the woods underdressed, no boots, and 6 of the 9 died of exposure. Well, when they didn't return, they set off a huge search party. First, the friends from the university got involved, and then military got involved, and this is a skirmish line, and they're hoping to find them. They're not hoping to find bodies, but that's what happened. They were using like avalanche poles, and then they'd come across some of the bodies here, and I left out the more gruesome pictures of the bodies. There's lots of information on this mystery. If you want to go look at all that. I'll just put some of these in. Some of them, 3 of them tried to make it back to the tent. Um, 6 of them died where they were, including this area here and a little small ravine where these 3 had very unusual injuries for uh, the circumstance, I guess you could say. One had a twisted neck, one's head was cracked open, and another one had broken ribs. Um, the the injuries were equivalent to car crash victims, the trauma, um, and so they eventually they would have died if the exposure didn't get to them. And this is where I think the Yeti got involved, where uh, the other ones that were dying fast enough from exposure, even though they got fires going and breaking off branches of the cedar tree, which some of them climbed. These 3, I guess, scrounged clothes off the other ones and tried to survive the night. And then when they weren't dying fast enough, they were attacked. Okay, some sad irony here. The 9 hiker skiers, they use boot rock here to stash all their supplies, to cache them for the return trip. And this is where the rescuers, searchers, stacked all the bodies for return trip to be examined by coroners to try and figure out what happened to them. And they made this into a monument. You can go there if you want to investigate or whatever. There's a couple, 3 good books on it. And I wanted to mention that how do I know that the Yeti were involved? Well, the similar situation happened to me camping twice, where Sasquatch were right outside my tent, hit me with infrasound, screaming, trying to make me come out of the tent and perhaps even run for the tree line. And here's the thing about those 2 encounters outside my tent. One was in the winter, there's no prints, and the other one, summer, but had a sandy base where the tent was and still no prints. And both my wife and I could smell them on one occasion in the summer, right outside the tent. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks to all my new subs. Hit like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more great videos from the Bigfoot Barn Show.